Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Dynamic. Berto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. But you know what? I am looking at my board here, and it seems like there is a Linda in here. So before I even get started with the show, let's go ahead and see if Linda wants to say something. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Linda, are you here? I have you in now, a Linda. Give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No response. Okay. I will go ahead and close this one down, and you can always call back if you want to come back in. Okay. Let's go ahead and start right here. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. Welcome aboard, AVQ. Welcome aboard, Kathleen Maureen Morgan from Scituate, Massachusetts. I always get that wrong. What can I say? Anyhow, folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. Let me go ahead and start. Do you still have that 30-second delay with your call-ins? No, I should not. I mean, this one is coming right over Zoom, and I get it right away. So there shouldn't be a 30-second delay. Now, where there is a delay is between the real time here and what you get. There may be a 5-6 second delay or something like that, AVQ. Bannon, let's see. Bannon 101X, welcome aboard from Periscope. So we have Facebook here, we have YouTube here, we have Periscope here. Come on, Twitch, where are you? Anyhow, title of the show today is Trump is done and we must not allow a revival. No defeat from victory. Usman Urrutia, I agree with you, but that's why I need you to listen to the show today, the entire show. Ramblin' Rose, here American in Mexico. How you doing, Ramblin' Rose on YouTube? En México, espero que puedas hablar español porque tú sabes que lo que dicen de los americanos es que cuando viajamos ahí no hablamos el idioma. When we go to Mexico and those places, we don't speak the language. So let's all brush up. Let's not follow what the right constantly tell us. Oh, speak English. This is America. Only speak English. I was flabbergasted when I came to this country, and there were people speaking all kinds of language. Not a problem or anything like that, right? But when the right started to gain some footage, it was like the dumbification of America. Learning a different language, speaking other languages in the country was now, you became persona non grata. That doesn't make any sense. If you want to learn another language, great. If you don't, if you want to speak more than English, now there's one thing that I do say. Everybody should really try to learn English. But because if you don't learn English, you won't go as far in the country. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. Orman Urrutia, welcome aboard. Michael Dean Newton and Ramblin' Rose. Okay, continuing. The Trump slide has begun. The only thing that can save him now is gross negligence by Democrats in an attempt to move to a mythical center. So there is where I want to talk to you, Asman Urrutia. You are absolutely correct, sir, when you say, be careful, Trump is a trickster. You are absolutely right. But it's not that Trump is a trickster. It's that there is a certain amount of gullibility within the populace in general. Hi, Rose Williams. Welcome aboard. Anyhow, subtitle now. The Trump Tulsa rally flop is more dangerous now, and it will put the Trump presidency at risk. Trump now must sit back and watch at not only more of his staff test positive, but many of the attendees. One hopes the journalists in the field got random information to do cross checks on some of these people randomly to see how many of them, statistically speaking that is, would have acquired COVID-19, likely from going out there. But folks, you know what is interesting? We were talking about this stadium being 2/3 fill and all that kind of stuff. All of us know a little bit of math, right? The fire department, who has the actual count, said it's around 6,200 people that went to the event. 6,200 people. The stadium holds 19,000. That means less than a third of the stadium was filled up. Ed Lowler, welcome aboard. Less than a third of the stadium was filled up. That's what it really means, right? So therefore, it wasn't only a flop, because remember, They got, well, I tell you what, I have a little something to play from you. I don't want to get to it right now. I want to see if I make sure that I find it and I have it ready and queued up for you guys when the time is ready from a GOP strategist. But before we get started, I want to show you the kind of folk these people are. They don't bend at all, right? Black Lives Matter right now has caught on to all of America. All of America has caught on, and it is. And I tell you what, let me play this. And the reason I want to play this is I want you to see the explanation that these folks give after Pence refused to even acknowledge it. Check this out. I mean, it is clear that the Trump administration and the Trump campaign, they don't understand where the country is going, where the country is, what the country has finally understood about the strife, the racial strife in this country, and the reality of systemic racism. They don't get it. They just think this will pass because they have that 35% of Americans that's solid behind them. But they don't see the reality. Check this out with Brother Pence.
In a Juneteenth interview with the Philadelphia TV station, Vice President Mike Pence refused to say Black Lives Matter.
I wonder, sir, if those are words that you will utter right here today. Black Lives Matter. Can you say those words?
Well, Brian, let me just say that what happened to George Floyd was a tragedy. And in this nation, especially on Juneteenth, we celebrate the fact that from the founding of this nation, we've cherished the ideal that all of us are created equal. On Juneteenth, we celebrate the fact that from the founding of this nation, we've cherished the ideal that all of us are created equal.
So why will you not say those words?
Well, I don't accept the fact, Brian, that there's a segment of American society that disagrees in the preciousness and importance of every human life.
Representative, what does it say to you that the vice president refuses to say Black Lives Matter?
I think it's part of the strategy that we're accustomed to. The fact that there's a base there that clearly does not think that Black Lives Matter, very racist base that is very appealing, it seems, to this particular administration. So whether white privilege prevents someone from acknowledging the value and the inherent worth that we hold as Black people, we know who we are in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We know who we are in this world. So maybe folks will catch up later. But until that good day, we've got the good sense that God gave us to know who we are. And we're going to continue to press on. We're not going to be distracted by denial or refusal of what we already know. And I tell you, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, it simply says this. It's not that Black lives matter more. It means that we certainly matter just as much. And if folks can't get onto that message, may God help them.
I think that was so important what she did there, because a lot of people, willfully decide not to understand what the phrase Black Lives Matter mean. And I think she did it concisely there. The Trump administration is on the wrong side of history, and it's taken a whole lot of people with them. Like she said, God be with you, because you are on the losing side. And when I say you're on the losing side, I mean, a lot of people take that wrong, in a wrong way. Okay, you're losing, or no, that's not what we're talking about. You're on the wrong side of history. It's not that, eventually you will come around. It's not like a scarlet letter that lives with you forever and forever till the end of day. You'd be wrong. It's just noting that right now, taking the positions that you're taking, what it means to society at large is you are preventing progress. You are holding back progress, but progress will continue. And later on, you will be shamed. You will be ashamed of where you stood. That's just as simple as it is. But when you hear me talk a whole lot about Donald Trump being done, a lot of people get weary, right? Everybody remembers 2016. And I like to tell people in 26, first of all, we are going to get a better performance comparatively. Linda E. Egberto, it will not let me back in on Zoom. Say that you blocked. Oh, I blocked you. Oh, I am so sorry. I have some issues with this. When I removed you, I didn't know that it caused a block. Let me see. I don't know how to solve that right now. I am so sorry about that. Maybe if you can use a different number, Linda E, and call in on a different number if at all possible. I am so sorry. That's my mistake because of my own ineptitude from using Zoom. And I thought removing was the way to do it. Maybe I should have just muted it or something like that. Sorry about that, Linda. Anyhow, continuing with this. So if you can come from a different phone line, you just taught me something. I won't do that again. All right, folks. Continuing. But I'd like to hear from you, Linda. Continuing. So, I think I already told you that something very important is starting to happen. People are starting to, let's see. Yeah, I won't forget. Egberto, you have some technical issues. Hope you fix after the show. Is there any technical issues other than the Zoom thing that I just went through, AVQ? Let me know because, like I said, yes, I'll do it after the show. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, 2 of the staff just contracted the virus. They just tested positive. So that brings the total up to 8 of the president's staff that is currently infected. Staff that has been in contact or close contact with the vice president as well. These are people that somehow they think that by not believing science, the science outcomes won't occur. And that is a dangerous thing because they are the ones responsible. You know those 6,200 people that went out there? I'll tell you something about the 6,200. It's not that Trump lost a lot of support. Granted, I'll give you that. Trump lost a lot of support. But it's not as much support as that 6,200 would indicate as I would say. And what he has lost, however, is the faith in that those people had in his words. There are some people that are going to vote for Trump no matter what because economically he's for them, or culturally speaking, they just cannot bear saying they're either going to stay home or not vote for a Democrat. There are people that are culturally that way. They'll die before they do otherwise. But they're not stupid. They know that they didn't belong in that arena. And the reason why those thousands that they expected didn't show up, a lot of them were, I love you, Trump, but I'm not coming out there to get COVID-19. I am not coming out there to get COVID-19. Now, earlier today on the Tom Hartman show, there was a reporter that called into the show. He was there. So let's go ahead and play that and talk about it on the other side. Well, the Trumpster is live, and you take a look at that close-in shot. It looks like there are people there, and they try to give you angles where they see people. But guess what? It turns out that Tulsa for Donald Trump, his first campaign event, is what again? A bust. Check this out.
I wanted to show you, we had a scheduled event outside of the Bank of Oklahoma arena that has been canceled. We got a word from the campaign that it's canceled because protesters were interfering with supporters, blocking access to metal detectors, preventing people from entering the rally. Radical protesters, coupled with a relentless onslaught from the media, attempted to frighten off the president's supporters. Cal Perry says he didn't see any of that going on. What we can tell you is that there's no one there on the outside. And as you saw, they weren't able to fill the inside. So now what you are looking at is people dismantling the stage that the president was going to be speaking at outside the event where there was no one in attendance. There are protesters on the outside who are still protesting for an end to bigotry and prejudice and racism and police violence. This, of course, prompted by the president's decision to visit Tulsa as we wait for the president's first campaign rally since the start of the coronavirus outbreak.
Hundreds of thousands of lives we don't ever get even a mention.
That's the screen and the setup for the overflow crowd outside the BOK Stadium. There is no overflow crowd.
Well, this was a bust. We all know this was a bust. But here's the thing, folks. This is the danger of doing what Donald Trump did, right? Donald Trump used his own people as an experiment. And he, by saying, I'm not going to wear a mask, most of those people, look at the screen, most of those people are there without masks. What that means is this is an experiment that he's doing. And in his no knowledge expectation, he's going to want to, after 2 weeks, to be able to hope that a lot of people don't get sick, right? And then he's going to say, you see, this is a fake news thing because, like Florida, all these guys are going to be hiding numbers. But it's not going to work because those ICUs are going to fill up. Mark my word. Look at what's happening in Texas, and he hasn't let go the firebomb of these people leaving this rally yet. And Texas already is exploding with coronavirus, and likely the ICUs, which are doubling quite frequently now. Anyhow, it was a bust. Let no one fool you. Donald Trump, failure as he starts the killing process on his own people and putting them out there as torpedoes to infect everybody else. As torpedoes to infect everybody else. Now, if you notice, that wasn't the clip I wanted to play, but that was actually played in the right spot because, as it turns out, the next clip that I want to play is more effective. But I want to reiterate what I just said at the end. Sending out torpedoes. It's important that we start using the correct nomenclature when we're out there talking about what this rally did. Because we can't just let this rally end this way. Oh, well, Donald Trump had a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was a bust. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not enough. Remember now, we have to be carrying the narrative. We have to be out there seeding the whole internet with our Facebook pages. We have to be seeding each individually. We have to be telling stories. So we can't just let this Tulsa flop, this rally flop die. Because, as it turns out, that's what they'll want. They'll want us to just eventually stop talking about it. But we can't do that. We have to keep on to two issues in with this rally. One, that they were punked. It's important. One, that they were punked the same way they punked Hillary, just in a more sophisticated manner on the internet. And numero dos, that what they did was the heights of irresponsibility. It was the heights of criminality. Today, a doctor, just before I came on air, he started to explain how mad he was. And he said that the president is criminally negligent. They are the entire administration that is now quiet, just scared as hell of listening to the president, is criminally negligent. And why? Because they knowingly are going to cause the deaths of many of those people who went to see those programs. They went to see him. Some of them are going to be sick. Some of them are going to be with pre-existing conditions for the rest of their lives. Some of them are going to be dead. So we have to be ready to keep that discussion going. We have to be ready to not just let this sit back and say, okay, next story tomorrow. This story must stay alive till, we have to keep this story alive, period. Not let it die, because the narrative must be there. Let's go ahead and say what the on-site reporter had to say that just spoke to Tom Hartman, and we'll take it on the other side.
It says here, Patrick, in Chicago, that you were at the Tulsa rally. Tell me about this.
I was at the rally. I actually went to the Minneapolis rally, too, to photograph that. And it's a tale of two cities, where Minneapolis was a grassroots effort, very positive, inclusive, empowering, and calls to action about, we need you to help make a bigger change in this country. I'm driving back from the Tulsa rally in Trump land, and from Tulsa, and it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. There were about 400 or 500 people out there camping out a couple nights before. I got there Thursday night, and very little substance, no talk of policy, a lot of people showing up and just yelling Trump, 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 4 more years. Right. And sometime around 4 o'clock on Saturday, I thought there was going to be this huge flood of people. And I'm kind of looking around, and I said to somebody else, where is everybody? And there were a handful of protesters there during the day, maybe like a dozen off to the side, very quietly holding signs. And then at about 4 o'clock or so, I'd say the BLM protesters showed up, and there may have been 200, maybe 300 at the most. but they did not block anybody from going in. You could have walked right in, gone to the checkpoint, and walked right into the stadium or the arena and got a seat. It was there was very few people who showed up.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Patrick, thank you. Thank you for the report.
I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much. Okay, now, as you can see, this guy who went out there, well, he actually saw what happened, and what they said on TV, they were complete lies, you know. And here is a good thing that came out of this. What we started to see is the mainstream media that for quite some time has been scared of Donald Trump. They are scared no more. There's this GOP strategist that appeared on I think it was this, maybe Meet the Press. I want to show how he characterized this because I like the way he spoke about being punked. Check this out. You know Donald Trump is not doing very well when it turns out that even GOP strategists that have been allies, that have been strong, you know, carry the GOP message, sort of leave him hanging. Look at how this particular GOP strategist talks about the event, the Tulsa flop.
Can you discern a re-election message that's forward-looking at all out of the president right now?
Well, I think he's playing right into Joe Biden's hands. Joe Biden's whole campaign is based on the fact that he's going to be a healer. Our country's divided. Our country's feelings are too separate, too different, and we need to come together. And so when the president goes and speaks in a way that divides the country into two or more totally isolated, segregated pieces, it plays right into Joe Biden and his campaign. But the random thought about the rally was the fact that it was because the numbers were spreading in Joe Biden's favor. So I think the campaign got nervous and oversold the rally in order to compensate for this declining polling numbers. And the result was a disaster for them. I mean, and then also the era. I mean, without social media, you couldn't have 800,000 people punk the campaign, say, but getting tickets and getting the campaign to give out bad information. And so it was a confluence of, of panicking over the sliding numbers and a consequence of being punked or fooled by these people. And it was not a good night for the Trump campaign last night.
It wasn't a good night, and you know what? The attacks on Trump and him losing his mojo continued. Folks, this is the start of the decline, and one cannot rest on your laurels. However, we have to make sure that you see those empty seats out there, they stay empty. Like Mr. Urrutia said, we have to make sure those empty seats stay empty. That is how we continue to win. Continue to win because we've been winning since 2018, right? Big through since 2018. So it's something that we have to continue. But, you know, it's one thing when you have that kind of a pushback from, somebody on MSNBC or NBC or one of those things that, that a lot of people say, oh, yeah, but, they always do that kind of a stuff. Yeah, Troy Astro, welcome aboard. Linda E. says we also, well, I'll come to those comments in a little bit. The person that was, when the day after, when they attempted to spin, the Trump administration attempted to spin, and they went on Fox News, likely expecting a little bit of mercy. The one thing they didn't get at Fox News was mercy. I want you to check this out because this was, in my opinion, stunning. Tell me what you think, because don't they normally get sort of a pass even when they're feuding with Fox News? Check this out. People, things are happening. We cannot take the foot off the pedal, but all the institutions are preparing for an exit of Trump. If you take a look at how Fox News has been eagerly displaying their polls, if you take a look at how Wallace has been attacking Trump's spokespersons. Let's check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Mercedes, if I can.
Yes.
The fact is, the president talks about the attendance at his events. As we all know, he made a big issue of the attendance at his inauguration. He talks about how he can fill an arena and that Joe Biden can't. He didn't fill an arena last night, and you guys were so far off. Let me, if I may finish, and you guys were so far off that you had planned an outdoor rally, and there wasn't an overflow crowd. And watching the coverage and talking to Mark Meredith on the ground today, protesters did not stop people from coming to that rally. The fact is,
oh, absolutely, they did.
People didn't show up.
I'm telling you, there were people. I'm telling you, there were people and families that didn't want to, couldn't bring their children because of concerns of the protesters. But let me make this clear. I mean, Joe Biden has an event with empty folded chairs and painted circles on the floor. I'd love to see a Joe Biden rally. Let's bring it on, because there is no comparison. The phenomenon of the rally came because of President Trump, and people came out. Those people that knew that wanted to be there, physically present with the president, they joined us, and they are family-oriented individuals who wanted to come out and be with us. But here we go.
I mean, we're showing
now
pictures
in a virtual
here.
time. We're going
Mercedes,
into about
we're showing
over 5.3
please let me.
views that
Mercedes,
we saw
please don't filibuster. Mercedes, please don't filibuster. We're showing pictures here, and it shows big, empty areas. Frankly, it makes you guys look silly when you deny the reality of what happened. And as far as, you know, the social
We're not
distancing
denying the
and
reality
circles on
of
the
what.
floor.
I don't know what you're saying. Are you? I'm telling you.
There were empty seats there.
Joe Biden
there were at least a third, if not a half, of the rally was empty. The arena was empty.
I'm going to say this again.
I mean, you can't deny it.
You can't deny it. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to reinvent reality. Look, folks, the fact that the Supreme Court has been ruling quite often against Donald Trump, the fact that the media has really started to call him out, the fact that so much else is happening in the country, people are starting to see a Trump-less America. And as such, institutions are starting to put themselves into the realm of a different type of governing, likely a more moderate type of governing. Not what we want. We really want progressive government, but it's coming. It's coming. We're starting to get rid of this cancer that has been with us for 3+ years. Okay. You know, a lot of folks sometimes when we come to these programs say, you know, we have to speak about substantive issues. I want to get through these videos that are sort of not invective, but sort of talking about the superficials of what's going on, and then kind of explain why sometimes we have to go there because of where caller that just called. You can call again. I'll go ahead and answer. You can go ahead and call again, caller. I just saw you. I missed it through the side of my eye. Anyhow, because I'll put it in the honey kind of a manner. So we'll talk about that. But anyhow, I want to show you how Steve Schmidt addressed the event, because I think I like his eloquence. Brother Steve Schmidt is at it again. He gave, of all the commentators, gave the most perfect interpretation of Tulsa. Check this out, and let's take it on the other side.
Donald Trump will be remembered for having come to Tulsa and delivered the Emptiesburg Address. And I think we see the enfeeblement of the Trump movement here with lethargic speech. We hear him talking for 15 minutes, trying to explain his shuffle down the ramp at West Point, trying to explain why he had such difficulty drinking water. A remarkable moment in the speech, of course, was when he talked about testing. And that's in that moment you realize that he lacks the intellect at such a profound level to understand the issues that he's tasked to deal with at all. And so the reason we have a shattered economy and 120,000 200,000 dead, and the United States is at the epicenter of the coronavirus catastrophe, is because we don't have enough testing. And you saw the President of the United States, in my view, not joking, but making a statement with conviction that he's against testing because it yields more positive results, which is against his self-interest. It was a speech that George Wallace could have given in 1968. It was the language of white grievance. His embrace of the Confederacy and the mythology of it was appalling in this moment in time. And what you see on the street is a powder keg. And Donald Trump's the guy who came with matches and a can of gasoline. And maybe it won't be in Tulsa, maybe it won't be the next city or even the one after that. But eventually he's going to spark the match that lights an inferno. And Eddie Glaude is exactly right. The country's on edge. We have the most inept and ineffective president. And what I think politically is most amazing about this rally is about 5 days ago, and we've been tracking this at the Lincoln Project, a grandmother started a video on TikTok urging teenagers to get as many tickets as they possibly could. And all over the country, if you've been watching social media that younger than millennials, 16-year-olds, 20-year-olds are on, the teenagers of America, I think, dealt a savage blow to Donald Trump's reelection tonight and fooled the Trump campaign into believing that there were 1 million people that actually wanted to come to this spectacle, when in fact there were about 9,000 who risked their health and their lives and maybe the lives of their family members to go see who the hell knows what tonight.
Wow. I mean, I think of all the articulations that I heard last night, this was the best, as he encapsulated everything when he goes ahead and he talks about the white supremacy that Trump is kind of trying to spur right now. He talks about how it's the kids that brought him down. He talks about how the coronavirus is really Trump's fault in the way they spread it in the United States. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. So that we don't forget, let's remember what it looked like. That is what his empty stadium looks like. So no matter what they come out and try to spin on Monday, we know what it looks like. And the best they could say is, look, oh, President Trump is rallying in Tulsa, but guess who stopped us? Those protesters outside. They stopped people from going through the metal detectors. No, no, no. People are waking up. Listen, for progressives, this is our election to win. In other words, if we do our job, we win. If we don't, we don't. Okay, let me go to the phones now. Let's see. Come on in, 781. Come on in.
Hi, Egberto. It's Kathleen.
Kathleen, talk to me, my friend. Talk to me.
How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, my dear. How are you?
Good. I'm hanging in. Yeah. Massachusetts, we're finally getting our numbers a little more under control. We're still declining, which is good because we hit about 4th highest in the nation.
Yes.
And we're one of the smaller states. But I think a big part of it was because we have, Logan Airport. It seemed like a lot of states that had international airports got hit pretty hard. But anyway, so, but our governor made masks mandatory. So you can't go into a store without a mask. They won't let you in. So that's kind of resolved a lot of issues as far as COVID is concerned. But I did go to a cookout at my aunt and uncle's house who are Trump supporters. And, I'm just going to tell you, if it's not on Fox News, it's not real. They reject any information. If it's actually, even if it's on Fox News, like with Chris Wallace,
right?
They will call him a rhino.
Oh.
That's what they call Charlie Baker, our governor. He's a rhino. He's a Democrat. He's not a Republican. Charlie Baker is an old school Republican. He's not a Trump Republican, but they call him a rhino. So they're able to spin anything. The mental gymnastics are just, I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. And it's my own family members.
Now, let me ask you something, though. Do you see them as exactly as they were 3 years ago when they voted for him? A little bit less, a little bit more, or are they digging in now?
No, they're radicalized.
Okay, so they are radicalized.
they're bordering on cult members, where they're some of my family members have actually stopped talking to people like me, who are outspoken and follow politics closely. I've been disowned by family members. I call them Trump cult members because it's like they're in a cult.
It is a cult.
They actually accuse me of being hateful, and I'm like, you guys are the ones that are like, cutting me out of your life. How am I the one that's hateful? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but they don't like being challenged. They're offended when you talk about the Washington Post tracking Trump's lies. Well, that set one of my cousins off, and he said I was being disrespectful of the president. And I'm like, well, actually, the president is being disrespectful because he's lying to the American people at a rate we've never seen before from a public official.
Does he accept that? Does he accept that the president is a liar?
No. Nope, and neither do they. And actually, they asked me what I thought about Joe Biden, and so I said a few things that, weren't exactly flattering because I'm not a huge Joe Biden fan, but so my aunt said, "Oh, Joe Biden is such a liar," and I laughed out loud because I was like, "Auntie, Trump is a pathological liar who's told over 18,000 lies and counting in 3.5 years." And she's like, "Oh, no, he hasn't." And I'm like, "Oh my God, Auntie, honest to Pete, wow. I can't deal with them anymore." And I've commented to Debbie Lynn a couple of times as far as trying to bridge the divide and, bring both sides together and find common ground. We can't even agree on what reality is. Well, how the hell are we going to find, you know what I mean? And they said to me, "Well, the first thing you need to know is we're on the side of the cops." And I'm like, "Which cops? The cops that murder unarmed black men?"
Oh, what did they say?
Well, those are the exceptions and not the rule. And I said, "Oh, so you're on the side of the good cops who stand by watching unarmed black men get murdered for petty crimes. Those are the cops you're on the side of?"
Let me tell you, there are going to be those that are, and I think we probably are at 25-30% of those that are immutable. You can't change them or move them or whatever. But if we don't find a way to somehow come together in some fashion, some manner, as a country, we're done, which is what a lot of people would hope for. That's where all the misinformation comes in. Because when I say we're done, I'm talking about the middle class is done as a country, the poor is done as a country. The wealthy really don't have any country, right? They live wherever capital is, and they just move from. I mean, the owner of Fox News decided to come down here. And what can I say? He comes down here and hey, he becomes an American, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it is. So what I'm saying is, I hear you. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I mean, there are those that you can't change, like those people that won't take any, like what you just said. Fox News is the only news that matters, and if it's the news that matters that go against Trump, then who cares? Trump had a point when he talked about shooting somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue or something like that.
Yes.
But even those people eventually snap. I just hope they snap quickly enough.
He wasn't wrong. Judging by the people in my own family, Egberto.
Right.
There is no common ground. That we can't even agree on what reality is. So, I tried to find common ground with them as far as well, can we agree that we should have more than two parties? Would that be something you'd agree with? Because my uncle voted Libertarian years ago.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, yeah, but I don't think we should have any radical left parties. And I'm like, oh my God.
But you should have
Dude,
radical right.
So you want more parties on the right, but Oh, jeez Louise.
What do they?
So
let me ask you something. What do they really?
I'd rather,
think?
honestly, I'd rather pull my fingernails out one by one with needle nose pliers. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. It's, listen, I'm all for finding common ground and discussing in a rational manner, but my aunt talked over me a bunch of times, and I more than once looked her straight in the eye and said, Auntie, you're being rude. Can I finish what I was saying? And she got mad. And I'm like, maybe you don't understand how a conversation works. Like, you talk, I talk, you talk, that's how it goes.
Yes.
But you don't get to talk over me and be disrespectful. That's not allowed. You know what I mean?
That's
what
they've learned, Kathleen.
It was insane. It's crazy.
But
so
anything else, my friend, before I go on here, because I tell you what, I am going to still take the positive affirmation from you in this respect. You are still talking. In other words, you went over there.
right. That may be the last time, but that's true.
Kathleen, you will be fine. Trust me, my friend. I know you too well. You'll be fine. You have that power. You know what? I tell you something else before you go. Believe it or not, they never tell you that they're listening to you, but in effect, you're planting seeds. I know what you think. I know you think, no, they're just crazy. You know what a catalyst is, right? You're like, let me tell you what you do for them. Your stuff, they're going to still talk among each other. Can you believe Kathleen said this? Can you believe Kathleen said that? But here's the kicker. When the first time Trump gives them an opportunity to doubt him, they're then going to remember what you said. And that will be the seed planted. And that will be the fertilization for your seed. It may not happen in the next year or two, but it'll happen sometime.
Well, I would like to share your hope, Egberto, and I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks, Egberto.
Have a great day. You know,
folks,
you too. Kathleen is right? Kathleen is right when she talks, because people, a lot of times, they just look like they're immutable. And by the way, we have quite a few people from Twitch on today. This guy was happy to find a live feed on Twitch. Twitch has a lot of live feed, but it's mostly games. So we do politics on Twitch. So you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, folks, I was going to play another video from, this one was more local, had to do with Lina Hidalgo, who runs our entire county, and the trouble she's been having and all that sort of thing. But the video is it's about 10 minutes, and I only have 13 minutes to talk to you guys on what you've written. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out everybody, and then I'm going to go ahead and start answering stuff. So Michael Radnin, welcome aboard. AVQ, Kathleen Marin Morgan, Band 101X, Osman Urrutia, Ramblin' Rose, Michael D. Newton, Rose Williams, Norman Reynolds, Ed Lauder. I think, Ed, you are maybe, let's see. Does Mexico post public information in English, or you expect them to learn Spanish? Ed Lauder, I knew you were conservative because of something you said earlier on, but thank you for posting that, because I think that is one that I should answer. But I'm going to come back to it, okay, brother? So stick around with me, okay? Let's see. Linda E., welcome aboard. Lawrence Sims, welcome aboard. Para ver quién más I'm missing. Let's see. I have a lot more. Troy Astro, welcome aboard. I think I got Rose Williams already, and Michael Rudden I got already. And from Periscope, Mike, welcome aboard. Let's see. Who else here? I saw some other Periscopes in here as well. Anthony J1 1988, welcome aboard. I think I got to Mike from the other one. Pam Makwa. Thank you for liking the show, Makwa. Thank you so kindly. Those of you who are listening on YouTube, if you want to be a part of the team that says, we want to make sure you stay alive, remember, you can always give us a super chat by clicking on that $sign. We can always use the support for these programs. Let's see. We also have Melissa E. Noble. Melissa, yes, voter suppression. I actually did voter suppression last week. I had the author of the book. I had what's his name? Greg Palast on my show last week. You can look that up. I'm going to have Greg Palast on in July as well, because he just released a new book. and that you'll see that new book that he covers on my show in July. So he will be here, Melissa Noble. Let's see, Michael Rudden, I got you. Who else is here? I got another bunch of people that came in. Let me scroll down to them. Another one on Twitch, Sir Wesley08, and he puts, yes, I caught a live stream. Yes, my brother, you sure did catch a live stream. We also have Hope Bleeker, and let's see who else. Ramblin' Rose, I think I got you already. Okay. Greg Palast didn't talk about voter suppression that time, but he did the interview before then. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. That was my second. The first interview he did with me was one with Venezuela and the other one with voter suppression. You're so good, Mr. Rudnin. And Hope Becker says, no, I'm describing it just fine. Look up Robert Elder's discussion on Joan Calhoun on YouTube and look at it. Or you can Google it. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Linda E., thank you so kindly for your super chat. Folks, be like Linda. Let's have a super chat out there on YouTube. Hey, thank you very much, Linda, for your super chat. If there's anything that you want me to say on your behalf, just let me know. Yeah, Greg Palast is awesome, Rose. You can look at several of the interviews that I did with him. And, you know, he actually covered Minnesota. He had somebody in Minnesota that did the stuff for him, and we broadcast that as well. And he went into the crowd in LA and brought me some video from that as well. Okay, let's start answering questions now. Let's start answering questions right now. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's see. Melissa Noble, this is all redundant gossip. Nothing seems useful info. Melissa, let me tell you something about what I did here, because Bruce kind of agrees with you on that regards when I put things out like that, right? There are a lot. This program goes on several podcasts, etc., and they listen to a whole lot of this, right? And the idea of tying it together is to then say, these are all the things that Trump did and by the way, this isn't gossip. I'm assuming you're talking about what I'm doing here. This is what really occurred. But here's the kicker. We move on to prove that by doing this, we got a whole lot of people sick with the virus. That's numero uno. By reporting on his irresponsibility through the eyes of Fox News, MSNBC, and all the others, we lay the case down. Both middle media and right media has laid the case. This is what occurred in Tulsa. Now, what does that mean, and how can I now tie that into Medicare for All? I can say this categorically. Here it is. Donald Trump is asking people to take risks, not only to come to his rally, but also to go back to work. And in the process, knowingly that some people would get sick, and they do admit that. Now, in the process of getting sick, you know, you can say, well, nobody stopped people from going to work, and there's a good likelihood when they go to work, they're going to get the cold. There's a good likelihood when they go to work, they may get some sort of a touch infection from somebody else. They may go to a restaurant and get a food poisoning. Nobody stops them for going to an event where they have a chance of getting some sort of illness. Some of that illness as well could kill them. The difference with COVID, of course, is COVID's mortality is much higher than these. But not only that, but even if you live, the one thing that they don't talk a lot about is that you're left with kidney damage, lung damage, brain damage, stroke damage. All these things can occur, right? In fact, I have relatives who got the COVID virus. One of them has both kidney damage, and a stroke that they're dissolving the clot right now. Luckily, that stroke was in an area that didn't affect motor or certain kinds of thinking. But many people, when they say, oh, it's just like the flu, you'll get it, you feel sick for a week, and then you get over it. That's not what it is. We're still learning about what this drug does. But how do we tie this into something substantive as Brother Bruce wants us to do? And this is where we make the case. We want people to take chances with something that is more dangerous than the cold. We want them to take chances with these type of problems. But we don't want to entertain at all Medicare for all. We don't want to entertain a universal healthcare system that won't bankrupt people. We don't want to tell them the truth that when they go to the hospital, while the COVID test will be free, and maybe the getting COVID medications may be free, or getting the portion of your healthcare that's caused by COVID taken care of may be substantially reduced. All the other costs are on you. And that's what people are starting to realize. They don't also tell you that many people refuse to go to the doctor now because of the fear of being inside with these particular issues. Okay, let me see. Melissa is saying, well, Governor Ann Richards said vote early, you could get COVID. Vote early, you could get COVID. Yeah, you can get COVID anywhere. That is true. Universal healthcare, according to Andrew Dillon at YouTube, says universal healthcare is the future. You're absolutely right, but we have to elect the right people to do that. And that is what these programs are all about, right? Getting the right people elected. Okay, let me continue with that. So I hope Bruce and Melissa, I hope you see why I do some of what I do. In fact, why I do a whole lot of these fluffs. And I know that that's what many of these things are, because it gets people's attentions that are not necessarily as serious as Bruce. When I say serious, I don't mean it to be disrespectful, but that they also want some level of not just going by the numbers or just the issues. They want a little bit more. So that is the reason, Bruce and Melissa. Okay, Linda E. says, I'm concerned with the thousands of mail-in ballots that were thrown out recently here because of signatures not looking right. That sounds so subjective. My handwriting changes if I'm tired or whatever. And the truth of the matter is my signature changes every time I sign, sadly. So, I guess mine will be thrown out. That's an issue. Now, Greg Palast talks a lot about that. Greg Palast, in fact, I got it when I did the last interview with Greg Palast about mail-in voting. I got into trouble when I placed it on, not trouble, but they hit me pretty hard when I took it to Daily Kos, because they said, Egberto, no, we don't want you to bring material here where we're not pushing it mail-in vote. We don't want them to have an excuse not to have mail-in vote, because we know a lot of our people are not going to chance COVID to go out there and vote. We got a problem. We have a problem. And we have to listen to what Palast had to say about that. Let's see. Roy Astro says, I'm a Bernicrat. I'm trying to ignore cable news. They let me down since the 90s. That's why we listen to Politics Done Right. Troy Astro, thank you so kindly. And, like I tell all my folks on Politics Done Right, just like how I address Bruce and Melissa right now, if you want me to say something, talk about something, research something, this is your show. Anything you want me to do as far as, Egberto, I think this, or I want to get this, or can you get more info on this? This is your show. You know I'm going to do that. Curious, do you think all the protests going nationwide will increase African-American voters to vote Trump out of office? Let me first correct one thing, Andrew. In the last few elections, the African-American vote has been pretty large. In fact, in the last two elections previous to Donald Trump's and Hillary Clinton, I believe, at least in the 2012, African-American voting turnout was larger on percentage-wise than white turnout. So, African-Americans, compared to the rest of the population, they vote. They could always vote more, but everybody could always vote more. And that is what we want to do. So what we want to do is make sure and engage everybody into voting, to going out there and vote each time. Okay, let's see. Noble, when and how much do you think our insurance will go up? What have you heard? 40% is what I've heard. I've heard 40% because of COVID. I don't know if they are going to allow them to do that. But I've also heard that what should mitigate some of the insurance cost is that a lot of people that otherwise would be going to the doctor are not going to the doctor because they're scared of COVID. But with corporations, they don't look at the downside, they only look at the upside. Let's see. Please keep talking about voter suppression. Keep us updated. I will continue to talk about voter suppression. In fact, I have articles out at our website, egbertowillies.com. I am on the COVID-19 voter suppression emergency project with several people. Jerry and I'm losing my mind with the guy who wrote Medicare for All. Joel Siegel, I'm on his team. So we actually have panels that we're putting together to do this. And I'm going to be one of those outlets used to talk about that, Melissa. So yes, ma'am, I will. Your wish is my command. Okay, let's see what else I can find here that I can answer real quickly. Voting by mail surpassed 50% of votes cast in the general election in California for the first time in 2012. A new study shows that nearly 69,000 mailed ballots, or about 1%, were not counted, and why they were rejected. The top 3 reasons in ballots were not arriving in time, not being signed, or because signatures could not be verified. I don't know what that means. Join in the club, Egberto. Thank you, Linda E. Thank you, Linda E. And thank you for that super chat. Hey, guys, join Linda E. with a super chat. She sent us a super chat on YouTube. Anyhow, before I go, it's almost time for me to go. So what I'm going to ask you guys is something that is simple. Please become a Patreon. Becoming a Patreon is very simple, and you make sure that we are here permanently. And that is, go to Patreon, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright, and you can become a subscriber. You get all kind of goodies. You get online of all my books. Every book that I write or I'm going to write, or whatever my promise to you is, you get it. Thank you for being on Patreon as well, Linda E. Every book that I write will be online that you can go ahead and access. Likewise, you can come to us via paypal.me. So you see, guys, follow Linda. Linda is a patron, and she just super chatted. Okay, and you can go ahead and support us as well via, let's see what this one is here. Oh, I refreshed. Guys, I lost the message. I'm going to have to go to each individual one now. But you can go ahead and go to paypal.me/politicsdoneright, paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Or you can go to our store and get a t-shirt, get a book, or get our books, get our, you know what, check this out. Get our cup, the Politics Done Right, I Support Independent Media Cup. Our book, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. You know, this crazy guy once had to lose a bunch of weight, heart problems. And, oops, the front of the book is here. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. You should check it out. Thank you, Michael Radnin, for having been here. Folks, so we got to get out of here. I want to thank you so kindly for being here. I know you can be anywhere, that you have taken the time to spend an hour with Politics Done Right. I am more than honored. I am more than appreciative. And I promise you to continue to do this work the best that I can to serve you. So anyhow, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. You know, every now and then that happens. I am what? Out. I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.